know what's going on with all this noise and this radiator, but what I do know is what's going on in today's tutorial. Today we're making something super last minute, but very easy to make, especially if you have fabric scraps that you're trying to get rid of. Here's an easy way of making a cute outfit out of it. I'm going to a friend's work party. The theme for tonight is 70s, so I made a cute little disco night outfit, little something something, using the scrap fabric that I just so happened to have laying around, and it was perfect, and it was sequiny and sparkly and all of the glitz and glam that you need for the 70s and disco flavors. So if you want to see how I put it all together, definitely stay tuned and keep watching. Of course, if you want to see more of me, because you know we're trying, definitely hit that subscribe button as well as give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me to reach more audiences and push my channel out into the algorithm. So I would love y'all's support, and like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need is a pair of bell bottoms. I'm using my little stretchy cheetah print pants. You can also use fitted or stretchy pants if you prefer. And then I have my scissors and straight pin. And here you see me using the stretchy sequin fabric that I literally been had in the back of my closet for forever. Now, super important, you want to make sure you're working along the stretchiest side. And the easiest way to explain this is, you know, when you put your pants on and they stretch to the width of your thighs and hips and things like that, that is what you want. You want to make sure it stretches the width of your thighs and hips and booty and all of that. So I'm gonna insert this little picture right here so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But basically the width is along the stretchy side, and then the length of your pants is along the non-stretchy side. And so now I'm taking my chalk and I'm just tracing along my pants, leaving about a half seam allowance, I believe, give or take. I just kind of eyeballed it, but I would say half seam. And normally what I would do is double up the fabric, but in this case, I was like, we stretching it real close, so we just gonna do one leg at a time. And so basically, after I got my first leg, I went ahead and folded the skintiest piece, just enough that I needed to make the second leg. And so these are gonna be my two front pieces. And this is when I realized that, yeah, we definitely not gonna make it with 4 legs out of this. So you're gonna see what I ended up doing, but you don't have to do this if you get enough fabric. So I would say about 2 to 4 yards would probably be better than whatever this was. I feel like this was like 1.5 yards, honestly. After I finished that, I went ahead and assessed the situation and came up with my master plan of doing this in halves. So basically, I don't even know how I did this, y'all, to be very honest with you. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take the rest of whatever I have left, hope and pray to God that this somehow will yield at least half of the back pieces. So I doubled that up. I took one of the front pieces and I folded it right where the knee would be. And basically I just cut that out. And so I have 2 pieces now for my butt. So we have that done. And then I was going to use, again, hope and praying to God, whatever I have left to make the bottom half, like the bell part of the bell bottoms. And also make sure you just hold where the fold of your front piece is. You're going to need that for your back pieces. So now we have our top back piece. Now we're going to move on to the bell. So the bottom half under the knee. And using the rest of the salvage fabric, I'm going to go ahead and trace out the bell. So as you can see, I was struggling with the placement because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to cut the actual like front piece by accident. So I was like, how am I going to trace around this with all this extra, you know, fabric in the way? And I was trying to figure out if I should just put it underneath the fabric or just like let it loose. I don't know, but I ended up just working around it anyway. Hopefully you all won't have to do this, because this was definitely a struggle, even though like I'm used to doing this, because I'm just like, I'm not about to buy any more extra fabric. So let's just see what we have already. And as you can see, it worked out perfectly. And I was like, all right, let's make it do what it do and get it done. Now, if you are a beginner, I would highly recommend you use chalk instead of just, you know, winging it with the scissors. But honestly, if you feel confident, I believe in you. So yeah, just do whatever you feel, you know, is the best thing to do. So I trust your judgment. Some of you. But anyway, so now I'm going to go ahead and attach the top to the bottom half. And I did leave a little bit of seam allowance, I think on both ends. And I think I did make the bell portion a little bit longer because I was afraid that it was going to be too short in comparison to the front pieces. So do with that information what you please if you are doing this method, but if not, you definitely ain't got to worry about that. But yeah, now I'm gonna go ahead and just pin it along the edges, and I'm gonna take it in about, I think I did like a fourth of seam allowance, but only because I was just nervous about it being too short, which it ended up being much longer than the front piece. So you can do, if if you are doing this, I would just stick with a fourth, and you can always cut the excess at the bottom of the belt. So I'm hoping everything makes sense, but yeah, I'm gonna stop talking for a little bit so y'all can see what I'm doing. So I'll catch you in a sec. Okay, so we have our first piece done, and now we can move on to our second. Basically, same exact thing as before. Just line it up at the edge and make sure that right sides are facing together, wrong sides are facing out, and then just pin along the 1/4 seam allowance, or leaving 1/4 seam allowance, and it should look like this. And then now we're going to use the scraps of the scraps literally to make our top. Now, if you're like me, and just like everything scantily clad, this is fine. But if you prefer something a little bit less revealing, then I would definitely do whatever makes you feel comfortable for show. But I'm a host, so we gonna do this anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you, it was literally a whisper of fabric left, so I just used whatever I could. But luckily it worked out some way, somehow. And I think being a hoe helps in this case. But yeah. So anyway, once I figured out the shape of my top, essentially what I was going to do was just like a wrap top. And so here I made like a back piece that was a little bit longer than the width of my back. And then I made, using, the straps and scraps and all that, I made straps. Hopefully they were long enough. I didn't really measure, but I would just, if you have enough fabric, just make it as long as you feel like would be comfortable, so that you can tie it at least twice around your neck. So if you want to make that joint like 5 feet long, make that joint 5 feet long if you have the fabric. All right, so now for the fun part, the sewing. So we're going to take our front pieces, make sure they're facing right sides together, wrong sides out. And then you're going to sew along this like half U crescent shape. And the stitch I used was a stretch stitch, which is usually the number 2 on a brother machine if you have it. But it's usually like that like double line. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'll find a picture and put it here. But you can also use a zigzag stitch. Now, if anyone has any recommendations as to how to sew through glued on sequins, please leave it in the comments down below, because the amount of times I had to change my needle in order to like do this project, it took way longer than it needed to. I'm using a really skinny needle. I think it was like the 76/11. I don't know what type of needle, or Oregon needles, I guess. But yeah, here I am trying to sew through my front pieces and my back piece, and I was struggling, y'all. And thank goodness I ordered a new pack of needles, but yeah, it was tough. So let me know in the comments down below if you have any suggestions. But now basically what I'm doing is sewing the top half of the back piece to the bottom half of the back piece, as you see in the picture. And this is what everything should look like. So I have my front pieces and then my now connected back piece. And I'm going to go ahead and just line everything up. It's starting to look like pants now. And we're going to just sew the inner thigh of the pants, and then I start off by pinning the middle, and then I kind of work down the sides. Now, personally, I don't like to, pin all the way down, because once I just have the middle centered, then it's pretty easy from there. But if that is easy for you to just go ahead and pin everything down, absolutely go ahead and do that. So basically same as before, same stitch using a stretch stitch, and we're just going to sew and lock everything in on the inner thigh, and then we're going to move to the outer edges, so along the hips down to the legs, and pretty much it's now going to become a pair of pants. I'm so excited. So yeah, same stitch, same everything. It was still Struggle Nation, but we pulled through, we made it, and it was super cute in the end. However, it was at this very moment that I realized it's about to be hella itchy when I put this joint on, because ain't no lining. Where was the lining? Nowhere. Yeah, so anyway, I definitely fumbled with that. But the workaround I found was wearing some thermal leggings, which thankfully, because I did leave a little extra seam allowance with that, ½ inch, I was able to just put the pants over top of some like thermal lined leggings. And y'all, this is in January right now, so it's cold, and I'm very glad that I wore those leggings underneath regardless. So I would say don't make the same mistake as I did. If you are going to line it, it's basically just making a second pair of pants that isn't itchy. So you're going to use like a lighter fabric. But before you actually sew the front piece to the back piece, you're going to sew the front lining to the front piece and the back lining to the back piece, and then you're going to sew everything together so that you have one complete pant that is not itchy. But yes, anyway, this is how it turned out. I also sewed the top, as you saw. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. The top definitely was a whisper of fabric, because at one point, yeah, we're not gonna talk about that, but nobody saw it, and so it don't count. But yeah, I had such a blast, y'all. Your girl did get a lot of compliments, so I was very happy that, you know, it was well received. And oh yeah, this was my makeup. Kind of did like a little 60s, like late 60s glam. Here I am at the party. Here's my girl Tutorial. We was getting it. But tell me why we was like one of 20 people that actually dressed up to the theme. So I don't know, but I still had a lot of fun. It was such a blast. And here I am at the end of the night. You can clearly tell a time was had because the heels are off and the Birkenstocks were on. So yeah, I was definitely tired, but we had such a blast. Thanks for watching. Bye.